Welcome to the multiplying binomials lesson here. To get started, you'll see I've just created a few pieces on our main screen, and we can do this by coming down here and painting a sprite. As I click paint, it's going to bring me to this screen here. So I use the text tool as well as the paint tool here to create different sprites to get the background that I wanted. We'll click back to code here and we'll get started. So we'll see the setup I wanted was two binomials multiplying together, and then the result. So I need a bunch of variables for this program. The first we can use is the coefficient x1, and we'll see it appears on the screen. I'm actually going to double click it, and the coefficient of my first parenthesis is going to go here. Then we'll create our constant, we'll call it constant 1, and that's going to go in this first set of parentheses. Coefficient 2, sorry, let's keep this consistent. Let's call this coefficient x2, and constant 2. And for my pieces below, let's call x squared our first one, x our second one, and we'll just call it constant for our last piece here. All right, all our variables are set up. So as we start this program, we're going to come to events and use a green flag here. We need to get input from the user for what these numbers are within my set of parentheses here. So we're going to start by asking, what is the coefficient in the first set of parentheses? Now, whatever the user types in is going to be stored in this answer block, but we want it to be stored in this variable here that we called coefficient x1. So whatever they type in, if we were to run this, they type in 2, now it is stored in this set of parentheses. All right, let's go ahead and ask a next question. I just right-clicked to copy this, and we can say, what is the first constant? We'll set constant 1 to that value. I'm going to duplicate this whole thing. We'll say, what is the coefficient in the second set of parentheses? And what is the second constant? So we need coefficient x2 and constant 2. So if I were to run this through, we can say, pick some numbers here, -2 and 1. We can see this first set of parentheses, the user input is stored in here correctly. So the next part of our program is we need to be able to compute what this binomial, when multiplied, is going to give us. So the first thing let's go ahead and gather is our x squared coefficient. So we're going to set our x squared coefficient. If we think about the math here, we're taking 3x in this case times -2x to get that coefficient in the front. So let's go ahead and grab a times block here in operators, and we are going to multiply the coefficient of x1 times the coefficient of x2 here to give us this value. Let's try it out. 3, 5, -2, 1. So 3 times -2 gave us that -6. Let's go on to our constant, this very end piece now. Actually, we'll jump to the middle. So this one's going to be a little bit longer. We're going to set our x value, the coefficient to my x here, to, we have to think about, I'm going to take 3x in this case times 1, and I'm going to add it to 5 times -2x. So in operators here, we need a plus. We're going to add two pieces together, and some multiplication here. We're going to add the product of two pieces. The first product comes from the coefficient of x1 times the second constant, as I think about 3x times 1. Then I'm going to take 5 times -2x, which we called here the coefficient x2 times the first constant. So if we were to run it with these same values, 3, 5, -2, and 1, we should get 3 times 1 is 3, plus 5 times -7 is -10. So -10 plus 3 does bring us to -7. Great, and our last piece here is we want to set our final constant, and our constant will be set to the two constants here, 5 and 1, multiplied together. So constant 1 and constant 2. And let's run the whole thing again. We've got 3, 5, negative 2, and 1. And 5 times 1 indeed gives us 5. One other bit to our program we might add is at the start of a program it is nice to have all of our variables cleared out. So if we come to the space key, and I set my initial variable coefficient x1 to 0. Some people just put this blank, some a question mark. We can just leave it as 0 here. And we want a big train here of all of our variables. So we've got coefficient x1, coefficient x2, constant, constant 1, constant 2, x, and x squared. So now as I hit the space key, everything clears out to start the program. Now, one other piece we might want to look at is if you're teaching the area model here for multiplying binomials. This code is very, very similar. The only difference here is the structure as we compare the two. So notice my main screen, what I created at the start. In this program, I'm creating a box, and I'm just moving my pieces around. So my variables are the same here, and here are my variables at the end. The other piece I did just kind of for some looks and to see kind of the workings of this program here is I created a few extra variables for these pieces in the box. Now notice this negative 6x squared is fine and this 24 is fine. That would match these pieces here. But the two new variables I did create was the product of 6 and negative 2 here and the product of 3 and 4. And that's going to give me kind of the complete picture of this box. So the area model is another way you can go about creating this program. Best of luck!